Hello, everyone out there in internet land. Welcome to Week 10 of the SpyParty Competitive League Season 4. I am your host, Lieutenant Hummus, and I would be remiss if I didn't introduce to you my two greatest friends. With me, as always, Taboshi and Warning Track. How are you folks doing?
I'm doing great now that I'm apparently one of your greatest friends.
You are one of my greatest friends.
Yeah, this feels kind of awkward. I mean, you're a pretty good friend. I didn't think we were that close.
All right. Well, everyone, now is your lucky day. If you are in the cast, I am looking for a new caster and a new good friend. We're gonna promote some people right now.
Only my best friends get to cast with me. That's the rule.
Right. Only my best friends get to cast. How are all you doing? How's your Sunday?
To be fair, the fact that I haven't met you in real life yet is probably entirely my fault for not going to PAX ever.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, maybe once you beat me, you'll be like, oh, I don't want to talk to this guy anymore. But that's all right. That's neither here nor there. The drama in the SpyParty community will continue another day. But instead, we've got some other kinds of drama. We've got some three great SCL matches for you today, starting with two challenger matches. We've got Plastikqs versus Plastikqs. We've got Dowsy versus Chef, and then we've got Checker versus Turnout 8 to finish things up.
Yeah, speaking of drama, god damn, Challenger is going insane right now.
Challenger's nuts. I mean, let's talk about that for a second.
All right, so the situation in Challenger. Turnip Boy versus Ink Nun just recently happened, and because because of Turnip Boy's win, Plastikqs is out of range of the top two, but Plastikqs is still very much in range of the top two. If Plastikqs can win the game versus Plastikqs, and Chef doesn't win her game versus Dowsy, then Plastikqs gets top two. But if Plastikqs wins the first game, and Chef loses to Dowsy in the second game, then Turnip Boy gets top two.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope everyone had their protractors out for that, by the way.
There will be a test.
Yes, and we will all fail it, including the people actually in Challenger studying this day after day, week after week. That's basically what it comes down to. What they're fighting for, I will remind you in Challenger, is that the top two in Challenger get an auto-promote out of Challenger into the next SCL season. Theoretically, with the rules as originally written, that means Iron. In reality, that's almost certainly going to mean something higher because Challenger has absolutely shocked and awed us with their skill, their play, their dedication. Dowsy, for example, has over 6,000 games already. So, we're definitely taking a look at the situation here. I know the league administrators are taking a look, and they're saying, well, Iron's probably not going to cut it for some of the best players in Challenger. But the top two spots guarantee you some kind of promotion. Everyone else has to go into a very scary postseason Challenger tournament where there are two more auto-promote spots available. But you don't want to have to do that because it's single elimination, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
All the details to be finalized very shortly. So you really want one of those auto-promotes. Take the chance out of the equation. So that's something really at stake there for Plastikqs if he can win tonight, is to secure that second spot.
And then after all of that, we get to watch the creator of the game himself, Chris Hecker, play a match versus Turnout 8. And as much as we like to tease and poke fun at Checker,
don't disclaim this. We just do just like to tease and make fun of Checker.
I was going to say,
don't
as
disclaim
much as
this.
Like to tease Checker. That's why we're casting.
Yeah,
just like don't qualify. No. So Checker, as you might imagine, this really shouldn't come as any kind of surprise. But the creator of the game, pretty high on game knowledge, has a pretty good idea. Actually, I'm going to say Bacon has a better idea of what the AI will do in certain scenarios, even though he didn't program it. But in a lot of ways, Checker has a lot of game knowledge. The only thing generally holding him back, we all concur, is just finding time to practice, which he has not had time for, particularly this season. So he's just kind of throwing it against the wall and seeing what sticks. And, this just seemed like the good time to finally put him on stream.
Yep. And so I'd say with all the pomp and circumstances, let's get the show on the road. The first game is Pox versus Plastikqs, which I'm going to click some buttons. And bam, there we go. We've got Pox versus Plastikqs in... Crap, I forgot to set the division. Professional already. There we go.
And just a quick update for those of you who are wondering. As far as I know, we still don't know how Diamond turned out.
No, we don't.
No, nobody knows.
No, there are 2 matches outstanding right now. Bacon Bloom and myself and Kaylee. We are doing our best to bring maximum hype for you guys and try to play these in an order that is most conducive to drama. And there is a makeup week next week anyway. It also doesn't help that Canadian Bacon, as you can glean from his name, lives on the East Coast. Certainly in Canada. And Bloom, which you cannot glean from his name, is from Australia, which lives in the future, quite a ways in the future. So, very hard to schedule. Tentatively right now, we're going to try to play both matches Sunday, 1 week from today. If Bacon loses his match, that means the match between Kaylee and I will be dispositive. I will need to win it to make the finals, otherwise it's Bacon. And if that is the case going into Sunday night, we are going to try to play it live on stream, which means you will have to find a new best friend, Hummus, and a new caster.
Oh, but it's okay. I'll leave you with this. Speaking of Australia, hey, Track.
What if you told me?
What if I told you that because of DST weirdness, Australia has between 3 and 5 time zones, depending on when in the year it is. But that being said, let's get into Pox versus Plastikqs right now. Also, some of those time zones are on the half-hour UTC offset. All right, so Pox starts out by banning High Rise any 3 of 5, and Plastikqs responds with, oh, my favorite. This is actually low-key, like, my favorite ban, I think. Courtyard, any 4 of 7.
Yeah.
There's some stuff to say about this. Plastikqs has picked High Rise 4 times, and Pox has already banned it 3 times. So no brainer. This is something Pox already likes to ban. It's something Plastikqs likes to pick. So that's what you got to do there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we've talked certainly on the streams before about how Courtyard's really kind of a safe pick. You know, a lot of people are very comfortable in Courtyard. I really love Courtyard bans as kind of almost like the slap of the white glove across the face of your opponent.
Yes.
Saying like, I don't need this, and you're not gonna get it.
Right. Well, it's particularly interesting in the case of Plastikqs because he's picked Courtyard 6 times in the 9 matches before this. So it's something he likes as well. So he bans it here for the first time all year. Why? Because his opponent, Pox, has also picked it 6 times, and all of those were doubled. So we always like to say it's not about what you like, and it's not even necessarily about what they hate. It's about the gulf between what you like and what they like and how much. So Plastikqs likes Courtyard, but Pox loves it. So Plastikqs is thinking, here's a little chance to get a little arbitrage by banning a map that we both love, but I think they love a little bit more.
Yep. Great use of the word arbitrage.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, so let's get into the
That's
picks.
why we're best friends.
That's why we're best friends. Pox goes ahead. Their doubled pick is the library. Lord Beth Dimberg will be very happy about that.
Deep cut
reference. I know. Plastikqs responds with their doubled pick as the ballroom, any 4 of 8. Pox's last pick is balcony, any 2 of 3. And Plastikqs' final pick, again, my favorite map, pub, any 4 of 7.
Yeah, so a little different here. Plastikqs, very straightforward for them. This is the 4th time they picked pub and the 5th time they picked ballroom. So obviously not going, no Courtyard there that time, banning Courtyard, but going for the comfort food in the other 2 maps at least, you know, certainly there. Pox mixing it up a little bit. The library pick is common. That's the 5th time they picked library. But this is the first time they've picked balcony, doubled or not, all season, even after banning it once in week 2. So Pox definitely mixing it up there with the pick, whereas Plastikqs was mixing it up a little bit more with the ban.
Indeed. Well, let's see how this whole thing shakes down. So we're going to start with Pox playing as Taft on the library, which you cannot see just yet. Now you can see it.
Yay.
I think we're ready to go.
All right, let's get this show on the road in 3, 2, 1, playing it. And remember, Pox wins this match. He's in range of top 2. If Plastikqs wins this match, Turnip Boys in range of top 2, all depending on how the next match turns out.
Yes. Yeah, if you're Pox, you very much want to avoid that tournament.
Oh, what a fast start from Pox here. Not only does he have that walking bug that he got highlight for, but he has a yellow book in hand and a 49% flirt from the bookcase. This is fast.
It's a fast, aggressive, confident start.
No shortage of highlights either. Already got 3 others.
And fast, aggressive, and confident, and now kind of chill.
Yeah, I think because of the laser movement, he's become aware that he's in a little bit of hot water from the bug, so he's trying to play it slow and not give Plastikqs too much reason to be suspicious.
I mean, look, it was definitionally a bug path, but it was not a particularly visible bug on screen, and there was a lot of movement, so it was a really excellent bug. And boy, getting that 2 flirt in, you just have so many options now.
Oh my god, Dowsy in the chat saying that Pox is from Australia. Does this mean we can finally put a flag next to him? After all of these weeks?
Oh, you hate bumping into the ambassador after you've already bugged them. You have no use for them anymore, except for possibly fingerprints, and even that, you want them to leave first. You gotta hate bumping into the ambassador after the bug is done.
That being said, if Plastikqs was paying a lot of attention, the hand that would have been able to bug was already occupied with a book.
Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where you want the sniper to pay a certain amount of attention. Sometimes you want them to notice more rather than less.
Contact comes off and then starts talking right afterwards.
Not too bad. That conversation on the far right, just so unsuspicious. Looks like such a waste of time for a spy from the sniper's perspective, that pretty much anything you do in it, you're going to be losing heat while you're there.
Yep. One of the suspected double agents was not in conversation at the time. Putting this book back in green looks like it's the play. Hasn't been shot yet, so it's probably in a really reasonably good position here. This will be the 4th mission completion. We just need 1 more, and we have over 1 minute and 15 to get it.
Just a tiny bit late on the book putback, but nothing crazy, not something you're going to get dinged into in Challenger too often, unless, of course, you're playing Dowsy.
Plastikqs spending a lot of time on the blue side of the map. Not a whole lot to look at over here.
Well, yeah, I guess the ambassador's on that side a little bit. A couple statue visitors, that's about it. Wow!
It's a swap. We've got a great character to cover for it, and because we've been able to do it so early, we still have 2 cycles at the statue to look at it for. Plastikqs not even swinging over. Statue never got put down, and Pox starts things off strong.
There was a moment during that first inspect cycle, I think it was, with the swap, where Taft holds it to the left. And if the sniper really wanted to check for it there, they could maybe see part of it and detect the swap and take the shot. But it's just so hard to be suspicious there at that statue at that time from a character you weren't really suspicious of to begin with that much.
Yeah. Yeah, very strong game from Pox there. Got highlight early on for a bug path and never really got looked at after that. Very good stuff.
Yeah, I think convinced themselves maybe the bug didn't happen, and since it's not center statues late, I believe, I think it was a side statue, just not going to be watching that closely for something like that swap. Maybe a little overly aggressive. I think center statues probably still wins it, but hard to argue with the result.
Indeed. All right, Pox stepping into the sniper side of things for round 2 on the library. Plastikqs in the spy shoes, or boots in this case, in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Plastikqs starting things off at bookcase instead of with the seduction target. Does pull the book out. Gets his spot stolen by Wheels and has to adjust at the last minute.
It's a cheese microfilm wars here a little bit, at least with the initial book take. Both of them just trying to grab these books in the chaos at the beginning of the party.
Indeed. 34% on this first flirt here. And we'll see how long Plastikqs decides to hold on to this.
Yeah, Pox held on to his book for a very, very long time. I think it was like a minute and a half, 2 minutes at least.
Plastikqs just putting it back.
Much quicker.
Could easily get an animation transfer off here as Pox swings over to the yellow side of the map, but looks like opting not to. I think this is too many cycles.
It's definitely taken a while. And Pox seems to have taken notice there at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a highlight. Why would you spend that long? Oh, that was really good bouncing, though. Shame I don't think he's going to get credit for it.
Interesting decision to go to the shelf here when you have the double agent and the seduction target in that conversation. And not a ton of room, but geez. Yeah.
Wanted to see if you can get the fingerprint. That was a white transfer right in front of the laser, but Pox's eyes were elsewhere.
And now you have to go into this conversation.
Yeah. Oh, double agent steps away, and we're on the exact wrong side to get a good flirt here. This is not what Plastikqs wants to see. Does hit the white test to bring up to 51%, but that's 2 flirts.
Yeah, it's something. I should have been more specific. You have to go into this conversation somewhat near your seduction target, although getting to 51, obviously, a crucial threshold that gives you a little more viability of finishing that flirt quickly later.
3 flirt is still possible if we can hit a close green, but with only a minute and 35 left to play, not a single mission completion, this time ad is damn near necessary, and it is a white test.
Interesting, the Plastikqs actually pauses a moment after the white test. Most people who hit a white test time ad, particularly at a time in the game where the sniper might be looking for it, they tend to get the heck out of Dodge pretty quick.
Yeah, for good reason.
Yeah.
Plastikqs stepping into statues for the inspects. Lots of green tests going around. That's a swap! But it's a green swap. I'm spooked, though.
Yeah, this is trouble. You got to go make a lot of noise right now. You have to do... I don't know. See, here's the thing. You can't get away from this statue because you need to do this seduce here.
Oh no, this is going to be seducing the fake banana bread. Okay, now we can get the fake off, but he decides not to.
This is better. That actually worked out really well with you get the seduce off before someone gets magneted over to do that green swap for you, so you still have time to be far away from it when it happens. I realize it seems obvious to run away from the swap when it happens, but it's obvious for a reason. It's still usually the best play on a map like Library.
Swap has come off. Pox hasn't seen it yet.
And when they do see it, they're not going to know if it was green or white. At best, they're going to narrow it down to 2.
Plastikqs on his way back. Now it's been seen. Oh, safety off. The shot comes off, and Plastikqs makes it happen with the green swap.
There it is. Really, just the fact that nobody got pulled over to the statue while Plastikqs was still around, I think, helped tremendously. There was so little activity. If you go back and look at that left side after Plastikqs left, because the SDA had left also, I think there was maybe 1 person left, then Teal walks over. There's so little going on that side of the party that even with someone at statues, Pox doesn't really have a reason to pay close attention and try to catch any kind of fade.
It wasn't a pretty game, but it doesn't always have to be. Plastikqs does, in fact, answer back in the second game of Library. It's 1-1 as we head back into Pox's Spy in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, 2 spy wins on Library to start. Challenger is nothing if not exciting.
I am so surprised Pox didn't take that early bug on the way through there, but he didn't. Just settling with 34% flirt and a lack of suspicion to start things off.
And what I always like to see, or I'm curious to see rather, is when someone gets that early flirt that is so standard on so many maps, particularly Library, do they wait around for the next one? Do they move? Do they go do something? Do they get microfilm started? Do they space it out, move around? What do they do? In this case, Pox looks like they just want to wait and get a second. I like it more when the first one is green, though, when you have a chance to finish this up once and for all.
Well, one of the reasons I like it more in this situation was because Pox got such a fast start on the first game. Plastikqs might be looking for something like that this time around, and he's not going to find it.
Good call. It's a nice change of pace. And this, oh boy, For a second there, I was thinking this was really lining up to be a nice spot for a crash bug once Toby got out of there. Not so sure now. Toby's sticking around.
Setup.
Yeah, Toby, the best waiters, seen. Not seen, not heard.
Yeah.
They're there when you need them and not any other time. Toby is ruining everything.
Yep. Too much happening in the one spot. Plastikqs never had a reason to swing away and stop guarding the ambassador, but Pox does get the second flirt up to 68% and a time at the back window. Red test though. That's 2 beeps really close together.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And it happened. Sometimes if it happens right around when the normal minute mark would be, the sniper can kind of convince themselves, nothing really happened. In this case, yeah, as you say, one and then another one very shortly after. A lot of movement, though.
Very good chance Plastikqs doesn't know where it came from, though, and it's just going to make him paranoid moving forward. Does get a fingerprint and a pair of inspects off of this statue. That could be vital moving forward.
Well, we talk about this every week, Tobo, where we look at mission progress. It's not the same thing as mission complete. No missions completed, but 3 missions that can take a while to rush late. It's not something you can do quickly all at once. 3 missions almost done. You can combine those very often, and next thing you know, the dominoes fall.
Yeah, this is a lot of progress, even though there's no green lighting up the mission list as of yet. We don't necessarily need it for a little while anyways. We've got the time at it, and we still have 2 minutes to play. This is looking good for Pox.
Looks like he wants the banana bread here.
Yep, setting up for the contact.
It's not a great one.
Well, could easily hop into the statues to get his last inspect here as well. 1:45 left to play. He's still looking good.
Looks like about 5 lowlights for Plastikqs. I think a couple more were available, but those were the safe ones. It's a pretty decent trade. I'm not really sure either player comes out ahead on that exactly.
That's a lot of lowlights, but the bug comes off. Unfortunately, we had to step into conversation with him while we were at it, but pretty good bug. Although with that pillar there, that's got to be really suspicious.
It is. So Plastikqs swung over as it was just finishing up. Definitely could not see any actual bug animation, but could see that the path was taken and that they were next to them. So they can infer a bug, but they didn't actually get eyes on it.
I think if Pox kept walking through there, that might have even been better. But there's the flirt getting finished up. 1 minute left to play. 1 inspect left to get. 1 fingerprint left to get. If the ambassador goes to statues, Pox is a happy, happy boy.
Yeah, and they have to decide, though. Do you try to wait for this? Do you try to force the action? Oh boy, here it comes! Wow, and they're just going to camp out here. They're going to wait in line for this statue. Now, this is a little unfortunate that it's center statue so late. Not what you want to be doing, but I don't see how you can resist this. No! Oh goodness! Someone else takes the statue!
Everything's going so wrong. It has to be an inspect swap at the last second. Oh, the hair! The hair is in the way. He can't see the statues. He gets left to the side. The shot comes off on the wrong person. Too late for sync either way. Oh my God! Plastikqs gets out of there by the skin of that NPC's hair.
Yeah, the skin of the hair. Credit the barber with an assist. That is your first spy/pomade victory of the SCL season. Excellent, excellent decision by Pox. You have to go for that statue there, but Twin almost messes it all up. Usually it's a hat in the way. Sometimes if your hair is big enough, it's a de facto hat. And Pox rightly understands literally the only way I can win this game now is to just swap instead.
We found the drama. We found it. There it is.
Yeah, it's kind of always there, yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Well, in very dramatic fashion, Pox finds himself up by 1. Plastikqs looking to answer back for all spy wins on library. Let's see if he can make it happen. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now, when the snipers win all the games, we call it a sniper party. I dare say the term spy party is being used for something. If we do actually get 12 straight spy wins, I have to imagine the streak's going to come to an end soon, though.
Yeah, you'd have to think so. That's an early green purloin at the windows. That is such a strong start on this map.
Yeah, I'm going to be very, very impressed if Pox is tracking this well enough and can take the shot.
That, as well as 35% on the flirt, a number
And
you
the
don't
red.
usually see. The Purloin comes off, and a contact to distract. We're getting a few lowlights. But the list is gone, Trek.
It's gone, and now Pox is going to probably feel behind the rest of this game.
Oh, yeah. I think that was a clean Purloin.
Yeah, it certainly could be. And if it's not perfectly clean, it's just not something you can feel confident about. That's the thing. If you are not confident in the reject chain, if you're not confident in your list of suspects, you basically have to decide it's free, it's over, I missed it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're just going to tunnel on a couple people. If you don't have that level of certainty, you pretty much just have to chalk it up as a loss, and now you're playing 4-7.
Second flirt comes in up to 64%, which is not in range, and it makes me sad. But we do have one fingerprint off of a briefcase there.
Tobo, you are a romantic.
It's too short. I don't like it. No.
No, don't like it.
64 is not a good percentage.
No, this May-December romance between Wheels and Pearls not working out the way we'd hoped.
2 minutes and 10 left to play. We do have a fingerprint and a pair of flirts, although we are still going to need a green to finish it up in 3. Still a reasonably good position for Plastikqs other than the highlight.
Well, it's not just the position. So normally when we talk about the spy's position, we're talking about mission progress relative to suspicion. What I really like about this is their progress in terms of options. The Purloin is off. Pox has probably discounted it entirely. That means it's going to be much, much easier to possibly get someone else shot. So Plastikqs knows that probably and is thinking, well, how can I make progress without drawing too much attention to myself? I can do things like fingerprint seduce, advance the ball, give myself a chance to rush late if a shot doesn't come off.
Speaking of fingerprint, Plastikqs picks up his second one at the statues here and a couple of inspects to go with it, giving himself even more options for the late game.
I think that was an animation break, but I think they also got away with it.
I think you were correct on both counts. Minute and 10 left to play. Only 2 completions so far, but still a fair bit of progress. Contact is still on the table. Bug is still on the table. This is not looking bad. Time ad is still very much on the table. White test immediately gets out of there into the yellow bookcase.
Just like we were saying the other game. Yeah, usually you don't want to hang around when you hit that white.
Now just hanging out at yellow bookcase, using a little bit of this time he's bought himself. Staring down the seduction target and does take out the yellow book.
Yeah, give yourself options. You finish the seduce, maybe you dump it, go to statues. By the way, maybe the reason that broken animation wasn't noticed, the same reason the swap wasn't noticed. How much attention do you pay to someone making their first statue visit to a side statue in library? Not as much. You're not looking for 3 cycles or worried someone's going to inspect swap late.
Contact comes off in a very full conversation. The shot comes off, though! Pox knows exactly what's going on here and breaks the streak of spy wins on Library to finish the map 3-1.
Well, allow me to potentially undermine what I said earlier about the animation break. This shot makes me reconsider whether or not it was seen, because I think that's more likely than the idea that the Purloin was missed entirely. I think it might have been off screen, really hard to say. But if I've got to put my money on anything, it's more that he caught the time ad.
Yeah, I think so. I think probably the time ad is one of the big things that got Plastikqs caught there. I can't imagine it was the Purloin that did it. I can't imagine it was...
Plastikqs did get highlight immediately after the Purloin was noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's true.
And Pox did see Toby was offering a drink, so...
Yep, it could be. It could be. It's hard to say sometimes, especially when someone highlights for non-informational purposes, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Either way, great shot.
Pox, with a really impressive shot on Library, brings himself up 3-1 as we step into Ballroom. Pox on the spy side, Plastikqs on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And Pox, again, we said Pox is the one who, with a win, would secure at least the second spot there. One of the auto promotes in Challenger, avoiding the tournament in a commanding position already, so close to securing that promotion.
Box starting things off slow, not chasing a seduction target to be third at a bookcase. Double agent is not being cooperative, so Pox is just going to take his time and case out the party.
Well, judging by the hairstyle of the character, clearly going to go for a swap late. There's a lot of coverage from that beehive.
There's the first flirt coming off for 34%, and immediately the seduction target walks away. That's good. We like that. Means the cooldown goes away quicker. Ooh, green purloin. Bit of an odd time for it. Might be able to catch Plastikqs unawares. Does get a second flirt while he's at it. Purloin has come off. I don't think Plastikqs has seen it yet. Toby not being friendly about it either.
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh my god, seduction target takes the list. He's a highlight. Contact comes off right next to her. We're setting up a nice little frame here.
It's generally easier to frame your seduction target than any other random party member, not just because you can red flirt them and make them do things like that, but because you're going to be next to them anyway, and when they go into conversation with a double agent, you can get something done while potentially framing them simultaneously. Also, if you're next to them and you purloin, there's a decent chance they're going to be involved in the reject chain.
Like that.
Like that. So I would say your seduction target probably gets shot a little more than average for a civilian.
I would absolutely agree with that statement. Getting the flirtation on cooldown for the last one to finish off that mission. We've got one to go. Bug still on the table. Inspect still on the table. And no highlight yet for Pox.
Purloin's still such a powerful mission on Ballroom. Even if the sniper is 100% on it, literally camping nothing else, sometimes the angles of the party and the way Toby chooses to move the tray, the vagaries of his tray movement, the mercurial movements of Toby, stop you from seeing it even when you're trying to do nothing else.
Indeed. Shot comes off, and Pox slips one by Plastikqs on the spy side yet again.
Yeah, pretty rough. Early statue visit from Taft. Not a center statue, though. A side statue. So at that point, it's one of those things where if you're highlighting for statues, it maybe is on you a little bit to try to remember which ones could actually be done with that mission. There was a briefcase return to the AMBA at around 2:45 as well. So maybe crediting fingerprint and just very unsure about the purloin means this character maybe could be just about done.
All spy wins but one so far. So let's see if Plastikqs can keep both that record and his dreams alive. Although he's not in the top two, he can still make a bit of a run for himself and see if he can get seeded a little bit better in this upcoming tournament. He steps into the spy side of Ballroom in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, the flip side of not making the top two and being just outside is that the top two don't play in the tournament. So suddenly, you might not have made top two, but you could be top seed. And that's worth playing for, too.
There's the early time ad from Plastikqs on a green test as well.
And it's very hard to catch an early green time ad on a map like Ballroom if there's any kind of activity. You pretty much just have to choose what to watch for. And you have to dedicate a lot of precious seconds in that early chaos to catching something like that isn't even technically a mission.
First flirt comes off for 34%. Still in conversation with the double agent as well.
But you don't want to knock out these early statue visitors. It's just not worth it at this point.
This is very true. Although it is quite often hard to resist the allure of the right click either way. Plastikqs is doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, and I think you have to there, yeah. I totally understand it. Generally speaking, you want your default position to be get stuff done, but every now and then you got to take your foot off the pedal. That was one of those times. Good restraint from Plastikqs.
fairly early briefcase to pick up a fingerprint, so that's going to give Plastikqs more options moving forward.
Does technically give them more options. What's interesting, though, is that it also can restrict them. So few people, so few decent spies are willing to go for the briefcase twice to complete fingerprint. Almost every time you try to get the other one somewhere else.
And for good reason as well. Briefcase visits are the most obvious briefcase attempts, fingerprint attempts that you can get. Another flirt comes off, this one green to bring us up to 84%. No completions as still, but a good amount of progress with still 2 minutes and 15 left to play.
Yeah, good progress. You get that seduce done, and some of these could happen pretty quick, especially if the ambassador favors us with a statue visit.
Well, we are absolutely starting on the statues here, and getting that last fingerprint while we're at it.
Yeah, it's just too hard to resist this. You already have the one fingerprint. You're specifically looking for a non-briefcase print. You need to get some inspects done. Time's ticking down. This is, it's pretty irresistible.
Looking to finish up. Oh, I thought he was going to go to finish up the flirtation there, but it looks like he's going for the contact instead. A little bit easier to chase the contact at the end of the game for reasons exactly like that. Double agent, jerk.
Yeah, that is the downside. Sometimes a double agent just does not accommodate your plans, selfishly in conversation when you don't want them to be, and then not when you do.
Well, we still have 1 minute and 10 left to play, so there's time. But we should probably be going to get this this seduction finished up.
Either one, really. Either one at this point is very justifiable, but it has to be one of them, I think.
Double agent re-enters conversation. Contact comes off. Oh man, that let off. That got a Hylet Smallman knocked out.
Yeah, who was going for his second statue visit, potentially, and going with about 45 seconds left in the game.
Oof. Oof. That's rough. Oh! Safety off on Taft! No shot, though, as of yet.
It's just so hard. It's such a suspicious time for that center statue visit. Even though he had a highlight already, though.
Quite possibly just too worried about that inspect swap, and when he didn't see the swap come off.
Speaking of...
Yeah, this is going to be the inspect swap, I think, but it's also going to be an overtime. Never got the seduction done. There's the inspect. There's the green swap, and the shot, I think, is going to come off anyways, but because it hangs at 0 and doesn't go into overtime, Pox is going to delay for a short period.
They can flirt here and force the overtime to start beeping before the statue picks up. Could lead to confusion, but doesn't go for it.
There it is! There it is! That's exactly what he does! Little bit of confusion, but Pox takes the shot anyways!
Now look at the timing on this. I think Plastikqs realized too late what they could do. They did it in such close proximity to the actual swap happening that from Pox's perspective, Pox, remind you, already almost shot for that statue visit. So clearly waiting with the time pending flashing 0, waiting for a green swap to come off. To get the confusion, you have to do it clearly before the green swapper starts to pick up the statue. He does it right around the same time, maybe just a little bit before. So Pox is not likely to change their shot based on that. You need to give them time to go, wait a second. Wait, that definitely hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
I think Plastikqs realized that about 2 or 3 seconds too late.
Yep. Good little move. Just didn't quite come off in time. And now Pox is up 5-1. This is a difficult deficit to come back from, but we've seen it happen before. Let's see if Plastikqs can make it happen again from the sniper side of ballroom. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And did you happen to see who the green swapper was, too? It
No,
was
I didn't. Who was it?
It was Smallman, who was knocked out, went 2 statues late twice.
Are you kidding me?
At that point, they need to see the fade. Otherwise, with Smallman low lit, it's easy. You're just waiting for it to happen. You're waiting for the beeps almost.
Oh, no.
If Smallman is not knocked out by that banana bread, who knows what happens?
Oh, no.
It's a shame. Watch what's going on with the banana breads, kids. I know you're going to have to let some lowlights off sometimes. It happens. But there is a big, big cost to that.
First flirt comes off from Pox, 34%. Ooh, ways into the game already by the time that comes off.
Yeah, this is about 30 seconds after when it normally happens.
Very slow game from Pox so far.
Yeah, we've seen this a couple times from Pox already, the slow starts. Not too bad on Ballroom. You don't have to walk too far to any given mission site. But it's going to become a problem pretty soon, especially if the seduction target, runs around when you need them to stay put.
2 minutes and 10 left to play. Wasn't able to get the timer flirt. Oh boy. This is a very slow start.
Yeah.
I'd love to get this contact off right about now. Holy heck, this is literally everybody. Finally, people are starting to move. 68% on the flirt now, but man, oh man, I would have loved to see that contact happen.
Yeah, there are 4 different colored arrows all jumbled together on one side here.
Got that second flirt. 68%. It's something.
Yeah, it's better, but at this point, it's going to be hard to finish. You really have to think about maybe framing someone or showing a hardtail, showing a swap, swallowing, more likely, let's be honest, a purloin, and hoping to induce a shot. You could always do that.
You can always double green time, Ed.
There's always time at the windows.
Well, there's the contact coming off. This one does let off a couple of lowlights, but not too bad.
Yeah, it also, though, cancels out literally the only highlight Plastikqs had.
Just moving too slowly here. Step in the center statues to get the inspects off, but there's only 45 seconds left to play. We don't have the flirt done yet, and we still need one other mission besides.
Actually in pretty decent position here because you only need 1 flirt and maybe a bug, and I think they're thinking bug.
Speaking of, it's Kane's side. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's still a very nice bug coming through. Now, with 20 seconds left, we're just stepping in for our last flirtation, and this is going to be it. Scary situation, but Pox handles himself beautifully, and he comes out of this spy game 6-1 without even a highlight.
And Pox on the absolute verge of taking the win here, putting themselves in prime position for that second auto promote. Just a really strong win after a lot of idling early on. And frankly, not just that, but not a very busy party. That was actually pretty decent luck for Plastikqs. There was not a lot to watch there. Pox didn't just win a spy game there, pretty clean, but won a spy game with an unaccommodating set of AI.
That was not an easy spy game to win.
No, it was just patience, and that bug could have been seen, of course. It's still on Plastikqs to catch that. That path is very suspicious, with about 30 seconds left, no less. Anyone making a beeline from the statues to the ambassador in the final minute of Ballroom has to get your full attention. But it's still a good bug, and just had no reason to look at them before that. Laying low so long earns you a little bit of leeway late in the game.
All right. Final game of Ballroom. Plastikqs fighting to stay alive. Pox fighting for a chance at a top 2 finish and an automatic promotion from Challenger. Let's see if he can earn himself that chance before we even move on to the next map. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now, the only thing that can stop Pox, if they can win here, is Chef winning outright against Dowsy, which would be the next match. So there is a slight contingency there, but that really puts the pressure on Chef to not just, tie, but has to actually win against Dowsy to keep Pox from taking that second auto promote.
Yeah, and Dowsy's terrifying.
Right. So, you can't take anything for granted, especially this late in Swiss when all the top players are playing each other, but that's a tall order all by itself. Pox would have to feel pretty good about their chances if they were forcing Chef to win outright.
First, flirt came off, a little bit unfortunate, only got 21% out of it, and then picked up the briefcase for a second one. Does head back in for another flirt. I think we had 3 at a painting for a split second there. But that brings it up to 55% on the flirt. Is in range for a snuggly 3 flirt on a green test, but it's certainly not the flirt situation you want to see. Picks up a highlight as we step into center statues. That's a red inspect as well, so not even able to get all 3 inspects off.
Yeah, decides not to risk the 3 cycle, which you can get away with sometimes, certainly. Oh boy.
Ooh, that cane bug! A little bit of a bump coming out of it, but still a very nice looking bug on the way through. That might have been completely clean.
Pox was zoomed in, certainly worrying about it, and I see Plastikqs running around a lot now. A big test is coming up, though. Going back to statues is certainly suspicious, but we're not going to really know how suspicious they are for that bug until the banana bread comes off.
This is very true. We've had a lot of movement out of Plastikqs, but the bug has come off, the inspect has come off. It's a green swap! He's going to try for the silent game!
That would really, really be something. But here's the thing. You want to do this in the confusion. You have to do this quick, which means you really need to be next to your seduction target so you can try to finish while the swap is happening, at least.
I don't even think going for the swap is the right play. You could still get a silent game, but he contacts anyways. And there's the shot! Oh my god!
Wow. I think he was suspicious of the bug because he did not see the swap. I think the banana bread, not the right choice there. I think what you want to do, I think silent game, like you were saying, would have been the way to go. I think there was so much cover on that back statue. If they go over and talk next to the seduction target, if they hit that green, I know it's hard to bank on a green, but desperate times. If you hit that green while the swap's going off, I think they probably win that game. But you could see Pox here sees that someone, Salmon in particular, had been drawn to the statue. And that was enough combined with the banana bread. I think they were sitting on the banana bread after that bug, and a silent game was their only hope of winning.
The thing that hurts me so bad is they had both a seduce and a fingerprint ready to go.
Right, they had 2 ways to finish that game silently. I think the fingerprint would have been risky. I don't think they would have gotten shot for the flirt. I think if you go up to next to the seduction target and hit the green while the swap is going off, I think they win, and they win a really good game with their back against the wall. Obviously, still a tall order to win several more after that and get back into it, but I think they played 95% of the game they had to play. Just couldn't get that last first 5%.
That was still an impressive shot, though.
Yeah. Well, the big question is how suspicious were they for that bug? It was a good bug, but Pox was zoomed in, clearly worried about it at the time.
Yeah, it was one hell of a shot. One hell of a match from these 2 players. Like, we just talk about how, like, it's very knife-edgy, you know, SpyParty, right? Like, a lot of games kind of come down to one moment. So even though, you know, the score was, 7-1, it was a lot closer. Yeah, basically what Dowsy just said. The series is like a lot closer than, you know, the final score suggests. Yeah, but that brings us to the end of the first match, which means we're going to go into our second match. So why don't you talk amongst yourselves while I set some things up?
Sure. Well, we have to talk about the human wrecking